The planet of revolution and change, Uranus, stations retrograde on Sunday, September 1st, and until January 30th, 2025, we will be rethinking our progress and focusing on inner rather than outer change. Let's dive in and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal relationship and predictive readings. I work in whole sign and tropical zodiacal system. If you appreciate my work, please show your support by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. Watch another one of my videos, or say thank you by buying me a tea, a coffee, a croissant. Send happy thoughts. I appreciate all of you and all of the little steps you take to help me grow and succeed in this YouTube atmosphere, this YouTube prairie we're on. I don't know if you can say that. In Russian, we have a word, prairie. Let's say YouTube landscape that we're in. Before we dive in, if you're looking for a personal consultation, you have questions, only a personal reading will answer. You want help understanding your life, your career, your relationships. You want to know what the year ahead has in store for you. Book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also find a variety of products I create. 2025 Astrology Planner is almost here. Another one of those that I worked very hard on. Keep an eye out. And you can find a lot of my candles and oils on my website. I try to capture potent times, very strong transits. And since we're talking about Uranus going retrograde in the sign of Taurus, I'd like to highlight my beautiful Jupiter in Taurus candle. It smells like banana nut bread, and it's decorated with citrine stones, which are the stones connected to Jupiter. Jupiter is all about growth, abundance, and when it's direct, it can help create stability in our life. But not only when it's direct, but when it's in Taurus, the sign of sort of comfort, security, material resources. So this is a Uranus video, but Jupiter was in the sign of Taurus when I created it. So this candle could be a perfect tool for finding optimism, building your faith in yourself, helping you manifest things that you might want in your life. Highly recommend this for anyone born with Jupiter in the sign of fall or detriment. Those are Virgo, Gemini, and Capricorn. If your Jupiter is retrograde or Jupiter in the dark house 6, 8, or 12, Jupiter conjunct opposite square Saturn or Neptune and Pluto. This is the candle for you. So let's talk about Uranus retrograde. Uranus retrograde is more subtle than some other retrogrades, right? Uranus, Neptune, even Saturn, Jupiter retrogrades, they happen consistently every year and they last like 4 or 5 months, right? Here we're getting September, October, November, December, and January, 5 months of Uranus retrograde. So it's very consistent. It's very sort of regular, right? Like almost like 40%. I think my math is correct, but 40% of population, correct me if I'm wrong, will have Uranus retrograde in their natal chart. So it's a bit more subtle and it's very much more internalized, right? Because Uranus is not like a personal planet. It's an outer transpersonal planet. So the effects of Uranus retrograde will be a lot more subtle. And if Uranus deals with the way we stand apart and the way we assert yourself and separate ourselves from other people on many levels, when it's direct, we are creating change in our lives, like visible sort of taking action, moving, speaking about things we feel passionate about, decorating our home, painting walls red or whatever, right? But then when it's retrograde, it's a little bit more introverted, right? Like we're no longer pushing for external change. Instead, we are working on our inner revolution and inner change. We are realizing that it is up to us and it is up to how we think about things. So a lot of it is like, you know, internal. Instead of like, let's say, instead of actively signing up for a dating app and going to find a partner there, I think it's gonna start pouring in like a second. You are more likely to examine how your patterns are affecting your romantic life. So Uranus will be retrograde from September 1st until January 30th. And it will retrograde from 27 degrees 15 minutes Taurus to 23 degrees 15 minutes Taurus. So it's likely to affect you very strongly if you have planets between 22, 28 degrees fixed signs, and those are Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. So you're likely to feel a lot more internal kind of tension and maybe internal desire to transform yourself. If you have already been doing some kind of change in your life, right? Like you've already maybe signed up to become a teacher, or you've started a business, Uranus going retrograde might be the time when you have to like take a step back, reflect on what you're trying to accomplish, and maybe make some changes. Taurus is the sign connected to stable structures in our lives. Taurus is the sign of material gains and abundance. Taurus likes gathering resources and creating sort of comfortable situations for oneself. And so when Uranus is in Taurus, it is on some level encouraging us to shake up our understanding of stability and maybe make some sort of shakeups that actually give us more stability, right? Like it's almost like living in a house that is comfortable, but the sink doesn't work. And so with Uranus and Taurus, you have to get out of that comfort zone in order to create more stability. You are encouraged to sort of not be afraid of change, because change sometimes, as much as we don't like change, can bring more stability. Stability is the key word here, right? So some progress might slow down, some sort of change might slow down. There might be an opportunity to rethink your larger life goals, opportunities to examine what makes you stand apart, opportunities to rediscover freedom if you have lost it, and perhaps make some changes to find more independence and freedom. If you're looking for personal guidance, you want to understand this transit and many more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and let's dive into each rising sign. If you are an Aries rising, Uranus is going to retrograde in your second house of money and values. And here it's all about going within and breaking away from some outdated beliefs about money. Maybe some fears, right? Like addressing inner restrictions, inner sort of stubbornness. Where have you gotten too complacent? Where have you gotten too like stuck in certain behaviors? And what can you change, right? Like I think Uranus retrograde in the second house will encourage you to examine any beliefs surrounding money, any beliefs surrounding yourself, right? Like maybe you have this really $1 million idea, or you feel excited about something, but you don't believe you are capable of it because somebody told you you're not. So opportunities to like shake up those old sort of things you believe, shake them up and toss them out. Yeah, and like, you know, kind of rethink some of your finances, maybe address some debts, come up with a better structure around finances, consult some advisors. But a lot of it is not just about money. A lot of it is about that like internal belief system and whether you believe you're worthy of all the success in the world, that you are worthy. If you're looking for personal guidance, for personal consultation, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. See, the siren is encouraging you to do it. It's like, do it! If you are a Taurus rising, Uranus is retrograding in your first house. So I think with Taurus risings, Uranus has been in your first house since 2019, maybe even a little bit in 2018. And you have been going through a lot of this kind of growth, right? You've been expressing yourself, you've been standing apart, you've been shining light, being the sort of Prometheus character for other people. And when Uranus retrogrades, you may need to take a step back and take care of yourself, right? There might be sort of a need to redefine, refine even your image, your brand, your goals, your your vision of yourself. Sort of certain things, certain kind of actions you took may need to be rethought. A sense of like internal change instead of external change, right? There might be a need to examine your beliefs, your independence, your philosophies, right? And get more clear on what is it exactly you're trying to accomplish, and what is driving you, and what is your kind of calling and purpose in life is. So very introspective time, very much about your role in the world, your mission. But I think the big question is like, why? What are you trying to accomplish? And are you taking care of yourself in the process? If you're looking for a personal consultation, book a reading on my website, Anastasia Does Astrology. I'd be happy to talk to you about this transit, any other transits, your year coming up, your relationship, or your natal chart. If you are a Gemini rising, Uranus will be retrograding in your 12th house. And this is interesting because 12th house is the place of subconscious, and it's already pretty introspective place, right? So I think this could be very exciting on some levels. It could bring maybe a need to examine some of your self-defeating tendencies, some of your bad habits. You know, like with Uranus being in your 12th house for the last like 6 years or so, 5 years or so, probably at least 6, yeah. You've been maybe dealing with things that are outside of your control. You maybe had to deal with some surprising twists and turns and had to be a bit more flexible in life. And so when Uranus is retrograding, you are learning to apply those lessons, and you're learning to be more kind of, you're on some level getting a chance to become more clear about self-defeating habits you have, right? Like, do you feel like you need to sacrifice everything? Do you feel like you are trying really hard and you're not getting anywhere? Do you feel like you are a certain way? Because chances are you're not. Chances are you're not one kind of person. You're a Gemini rising. You are like multifaceted, right? You can be whomever you want to be. You can reach whatever goals you're trying to reach. So Uranus retrograding in the 12th house might bring you some insights through therapy, through journaling, even through your dreams. It can bring more deeper sense of self-understanding. It can also encourage you to get in touch with passions that you truly can't live without, and bring them into your sort of top level of psyche so that they can bloom. Next year, Uranus is entering Gemini for a little bit and then permanently. So you are, you're like very much in this place of like, what needs to be let go of, what needs to be transformed, what needs to be integrated before you show up in the world as the Prometheus, the source of change and rebellion and revolution for the rest of us mere humans. Please share how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a Cancer rising, Uranus is going retrograde in your 11th house. And this could be the time when your forward momentum, if you've been sort of moving towards a goal, towards some kind of like accomplishment, you've been pursuing group projects or like, taking action and thinking where to go next. Some of it might slow down. There might be the time to ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing, and like, what is the guiding force? What is it that you're really, really trying to accomplish? Because 11th house deals with your role in the world, your sort of social kind of groups and networks. And so, there might also be certain challenges showing up in friendships, or even certain realizations about friendships, about your social commitments and how they either serve you and build you up or do not serve you. And because it's like a retrograde period, right? It's not about you going out there and making friends. It's about you taking a step back and being like, well, what kind of friendship do I want? What kind of energy do I project? What am I agreeing to? And how can I change my behaviors? How can I almost like break away from old patterns and friendships and dreams and your also like kind of vision of yourself in the collective in order to become a more authentic version of yourself. If you're looking for a personal reading, you have questions that you'd like me to answer, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to offer some guidance and talk about your relationship, your years to come, or anything else you want to ask me. For the beautiful Leo rising, Uranus is retrograding in your 10th house. 10th house is the place of career, status, reputation, your public life. What are you known for in the world? When you leave your comfort of your home, you go out there, what do people say about you? What do they say? You are a parent, you are a spaceman, doctor spaceman, you are a doctor, you are a writer, what is it, right? And so with Uranus retrograde, you are kind of revising that image and rethinking how people perceive you, and asking yourself what is it that you want to be known for, and asking yourself what drives you, what motivates you, what excites you, right? Have you been taking action and sort of jumping from opportunities to opportunity without a clear sense of direction? Have you maybe felt stuck and sort of found yourself in a position where you are choosing comfort instead of following your soul's desires? So it's all about like, and because it's Uranus retrograde, you're also potentially looking back, right? Like you're looking back at what once inspired you, at projects you started but didn't finish, at writing ideas you once considered. It's a great time, I think, to journal, to maybe even go on Pinterest and look for some ideas for inspiration, to talk to a career coach or career consultant, and maybe definitely, like ask for help from someone who can help you figure out things that maybe you're struggling with. Please share how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a Virgo rising, Uranus is retrograding in your 9th house. 9th house deals with education, travel, writing, publishing, legal matters, and philosophies, beliefs, your guiding principles. So when Uranus is direct, you're maybe taking action to travel more, to teach, to study. You're maybe, like learning something and kind of being a lot more just going for it. When Uranus is retrograde, you're in a little bit of like, okay, let's slow it down. Let's not just go on a trip, but let's figure out what is the purpose of it, and like where is best to go, or which kind of class is best to take, which sort of path is more aligned with you. Uranus retrograde in the 9th house is an opportunity to ask yourself what you believe, to ask yourself what you think of your place in the world, and maybe like ask yourself, what do you still need to learn? Where can you still improve? And sort of I think it's like refocusing almost, right? Like you're focusing you're refocusing the lens and maybe adjusting your view of the world based on what you have learned. It might be the time you're like traveling back to a place you once were because things are not quite complete. Maybe you are also rehashing some old legal matters, dealing with some visas you applied for, retaking some exams. There might be also like a need to redo something, rewrite, rethink, readjust in the sector of your chart. And if you're looking for a personal reading, you want to know more about this and other transits, you want me to look at your relationship or talk about your year to come, I am here. You can find me on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. The beautiful Libra rising, Uranus is retrograding in your 8th house. This could be interesting. This could be the time when maybe you've like jumped into some kind of partnership, or you agreed to something in relationship, in sort of financial situation, like you maybe put your resources with someone else, so you were like, yes, let's partner up, let's start this business together, and now you're feeling less certain. Now you're like needing to take a step back and maybe you're needing to rethink something. Maybe you like thought you had some money to spare and now you're actually pulling back because you don't. Uranus retrograde in the 8th house could be very like, financially oriented for sure. It could be the time you are rethinking whether you're getting compensated enough. You're rethinking whether a partnership is fair or not. You're rethinking whether it like suits you and your true self. And the partnership could be romantic or it could be any other kind, right? You're maybe trying to figure out the best way to spend money, the best way to allocate resources, so you're not just like saving and not spending anything, or so you're not just spending everything and not saving anything. So some sort of revision of finances is necessary. But also because it's the 8th house, and 8th house is so much more than just money. It's all about agreements we have with other people, dependencies we have with other people, and dependencies they have with us. And also fears we might have around things, right? Like sometimes we make certain choices because we are afraid that people will not like us, especially as Libra risings, right? So I think Uranus going retrograde will encourage you to rethink some of those decisions and have some honest conversations. And first of all, have some honest conversations with yourself and ask yourself, like, are you at a job you truly love? Are you in a relationship you're truly happy with? Are your finances the way you want them to be, or something maybe needs to change? And like, are you saying yes too much, I think is another question here. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. I'd be happy to analyze your natal chart, talk about your relationship, or discuss your year to come. Eclipse season is upon us, so talk to me about that too. If you are a Scorpio rising, Uranus is retrograding in your 7th house, the house of relationships, partnerships, contracts, and agreements. And of course, if you have been on this forward trajectory of starting a business, of starting a partnership, of moving in with your significant other, of getting engaged, like some kind of like direct momentum, Uranus retrograding might suggest that you're pulling back, that you're rethinking some of these choices you made and relationship actions you took. It might also be the time to be a little bit, or be fully honest with yourself about whether the relationship is healthy, and if it's not, what can be made, what kind of changes do you need to make in order to improve it, right? A partner might be going through a shift, or a partner might be doing some kind of pullback. Maybe it's not even about you, but the partner is experiencing some sort of shift in their life, and then that makes you question whether whether you are a good fit and whether you can like survive things together. But also it's like Uranus retrograde, I think, is the time when you are feeling a little bit more insightful and more clear on what you want, and maybe realizing things about your relationship patterns and how like your relationship reminds you of your parents' relationship, and perhaps needing to ask yourself, once again, sort of like very introspective, needing to ask yourself what needs to be improved. And if you're single, similar things, but like, what are you looking for in your relationships? And relationships could be with your parent, with your friend, with your boss, right? It's not just romantic. Share how this resonates, and if you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. There's a variety of options and durations, something that can fit everyone. If you are a Sagittarius rising, Uranus is retrograding in your 6th house. And here you're looking at your everyday life, at your habits around health, at your habits around work, at your tendency to help other people, maybe to your own detriment. And things potentially are slowing down. Maybe you are, maybe at work there's a little bit of like a slowdown, or you're taking a break and you're getting a chance to escape from a work situation, and that offers you a chance to rethink what is it that you're trying to accomplish. Because a lot of times with the 6th house, there might be like a bunch of obstacles that we're overcoming, problems we're solving, but we don't take a lot of time to reflect on whether, you know, we want to do it or whether we're happy with doing it. So Uranus retrograde could be the time maybe when you buy a Roomba, or you get some kind of like, or you hire a cleaning lady, like you're maybe opening space for yourself by dealing with some of the mundane kind of concerns. Because the sixth house represents health, I can also see this as a bit of a chance to be honest in terms of which habits are healthy and which habits around work are unhealthy. Maybe like, are you pushing yourself too hard? Are you trying to prove something? Are you too afraid of not being sort of approved of? Yeah, like, are you too afraid that your bosses will not approve of you or something else? So opportunities to rethink those routines, those structures, those beliefs. And also maybe like invite some more like spiritual practices into your life, like change your everyday life to have an element of like meditation, yoga, naps, and some kind of like healthy habits that create a sense of stability that maybe other people will find weird, but for you, they feel good. If you're looking for more, please book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I do natal, relationship, predictive readings, and more. If you are a Capricorn rising, Uranus is retrograding in your 5th house. And here we're looking at the house of pleasure, children, romance, and sometimes sort of competitive, sort of lucrative activities. So with Uranus retrograding in the 5th house, you're maybe looking for inspiration. You're maybe going back to some old idea, old project, old partnership. There may be some old relationships that are knocking on your door, sort of exes returning into your life maybe. Or maybe you're remembering of an ex. Maybe you're remembering of the way relationship once was, and you're sort of reflecting on what it is that you want in life, right? Like, what kind of pleasure are you seeking? What brings you joy as well? And some questions around pleasure may need to be asked, right? Like, do you allow yourself to have a good time, or are you staying a little bit rigid and not letting yourself have fun? Where can you let yourself go and have a good time versus where are you maybe overindulging and doing things that are unhealthy and restrictive and destructive? And there might be, Uranus also rules the house of children, so it might suggest that there is something in the life of the child that is coming back around, some kind of challenge that maybe you dealt with last year and now it's back around again. Started raining, it's pouring. It's been raining on and off for a while, the last few days. So yeah, like maybe something needs to be, even like questions around parenthood, right? Like Uranus retrograde might be the time when you realize that like you've been trying so hard to become pregnant, but maybe you don't even want to be a parent. Or it could be the time when you're sort of like going back to an alternative protocol, some kind of like, like IVF or some type of assistance, like scientific method that can help you get pregnant. Yeah, I can also see that as a possibility. Please share how this resonates, and if you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are an Aquarius rising, Uranus is retrograding in your 4th house. And here, like with Uranus direct, you may have been very active, spending time with family, changing your home, renovating things, and just creating a lot of sort of visible progress in your home, family, and living situation, right? Like moving in with your significant other, just sort of taking these steps that you can easily describe. When Uranus is retrograding, it's a little bit more private, right? Like the changes that are happening a lot more internalized. Maybe you did make a move, you moved in with your significant other, and now that Uranus is retrograde, you're starting to examine that decision and becoming a little bit more honest about what it means and how your life changes and how your relationship changes. There might be deep realizations around home, family, and sort of a healing journey that you've been on. Opportunities to heal, right? Opportunities to be honest with how far you've come and who you are and how much you've grown. And also maybe like a chance to be a bit more reflective on your familial relationships, and I think realize like where are you allowing too much of things that you don't like, where are you saying yes too often. Even like relationships with like neighbors, right, or roommates may need to be reviewed. And finally, Uranus retrograde in the 4th can also be the time when like some of your maybe construction, maybe like home renovation project slows down and you need to redo some of the work, or maybe you need to move back. Like maybe you moved in with your significant other too soon, and you sort of need to take a step back for some reason and like move back with your parents because they need you or something like that. Please share how it resonates, and if you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a Pisces rising, Uranus is retrograding in your 3rd house. And I see this as like when Uranus is direct, your life is busy. There is a lot of places to go, people to see. You're studying things, you're working on your business, you're gaining new skills. You're just like very, very active. When Uranus is retrograde, you're a little bit more introspective, and you're starting to realize the effect your thoughts and your words have on your life. Like this is a very kind of deep time around communication and thinking, and like, you know, communication with yourself, communication with siblings, like things that you're letting go of that are maybe not serving you. Like Uranus retrograde in the 3rd house can bring back some of the issues or challenges in your sibling relationships, in your relationships with neighbors or friends who feel like siblings. Some things that you really need to say, right? Some conversations that you need to have, but like very much so, I think a chance to revolutionize how you think and even revolutionize your everyday life, maybe change your routines, maybe, you know, bring some yoga, meditation, Reiki, spirituality into your everyday life so that you have more comfort and security through those practices that are kind of more spiritual. And this retrograde may also affect a sibling, where like maybe a sibling is traveling and moving in with you, or like going through some kind of shake-up and revolution in their life, and then your relationship with them is changing in the process. If you're looking for a personal consultation, you have questions you'd like me to answer, you can find me at anastasiadoesastrology.com, book a reading there, and ask me those questions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope this retrograde brings you a lot of insights and deep realizations and powerful opportunities to make your life better. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye.